Hey, and welcome back to the Deliberate Exchange. My name is Chelsea, and I'm so glad that you are here listening. I'm going to start with a question. How much are you holding? Like, legit, where in your body are you holding something in or just holding on to tightness? What are you still gripping onto because it feels safer than letting it go? This particular episode, it didn't come necessarily as an idea. I came to this via a breathwork journey. And this particular breathwork journey, like, I didn't want to do it. I could feel the resistance before I even started, like the kind where suddenly you have all these other things to do and you're just like fucking around before doing the actual thing. And my body was tight. And honestly, like, I turned on Netflix and I was like, okay, I'm just going to like watch 27 dresses for like the umpteenth time. Like, you don't want to go there. And I think that alone should have told me something. But when I finally dropped in, because I'm now able to talk myself through that resistance, it wasn't easy. I had a lot of tension in my neck. I felt like my body was bracing. And I could feel that I was holding on to something, but I couldn't actually name it. And at one point in the journey, as is very typical, I started to see an image, like this black and white circle, basically. And I knew that it represented two versions of me: the parts that I've labeled as good, the parts that I've labeled as bad, that black or white thinking, all or nothing kind of mindset. And I watched them start to come together. Like, they were no longer separate, no longer fighting each other, but blending into gray. And yet there was also something in me that didn't want that. There was resistance, because it's easier to keep things separated, to keep parts of yourself over here and to keep parts of yourself over there, to keep control in that way. But as that started happening, I could also feel how much I was holding. Not just physically, but literally everywhere. I had to start moving it. And when I drop into a breathwork journey, like a longer format breathwork journey, I don't often get into like too much like physical movements. But in this particular session, I was shaking, I was pounding, and actually using my body to get it out. And I kept saying out loud, like, let go, let go, let go. It was to be a fly on the wall. Poor Macy, she went to the door. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, this is something that I do weekly. I do longer format breathwork journeys. And I had missed a couple of weeks because I had people visiting and it was full. And so this was like me catching up from 2 weeks of not going into a non-ordinary state of consciousness. And so, like, it was not graceful. It was work. And I tell people that, like, when I teach breath work, like, this is breath, space, work. But where the work in this particular session kind of came through was that holding on to things takes effort. And letting go, especially when you've been holding on to whatever it is for a long time, takes more effort too. And there was this moment where I could feel it in my shoulders. Like, literally there's something gripping onto me. And, you know, this might sound woo, but I said it out loud. Like, I said, whatever this is, whatever you are, let go. Let go of me. And I meant it. Like, these weren't just words. Like, this was a decision, a declaration. And as soon as I said that, things started to move. And it wasn't like this big wave, but it was like enough that I could feel the difference. And then the grief came. For how long I had been holding on, for how much I had carried that wasn't even mine to carry. For the parts of me that fought so fucking hard to keep everything in place, to keep all this control. Because a lot of what we hold isn't just habits or thoughts. It's identities, it's roles that we've had that we either put ourselves into or people put us into these particular roles. or it's stories about who we are and who we're supposed to be. And they feel like safety. Holding on to that feels like safety, because if I keep this together, nothing falls apart. If I stay this version, I know how to exist here. But also, that is survival. And you can't step into your potential while you're still organizing your life around staying safe. That was like the clearest thing in that moment. I was not stuck. I was holding on to all these identities, these habits, these stories, these feelings that never actually moved. And maybe this has something to do with like there's some astrological New Year thing where there's, 7 years of identities have been shed, and now we're stepping into another 7-year cycle. Like I read these things very cursory on Instagram, but I recognize that a lot of it wasn't mine, like what I was holding on to, but I was still carrying it. And that is where it connects to everything, because this isn't just something that happens in a breathwork journey. This is how most people are living. Like mentally, you are holding on to thoughts that don't need to be held anymore. You're replaying things that you said or that you wish that you hadn't said 6 years ago. You're trying to land somewhere that feels resolved, but it never quite does. Emotionally, you might be holding on to things that were never fully felt because you didn't have the tools, you didn't have the support, you didn't know what to do, or it felt like too big, too scary. And so those emotions stay, and they show up in your reactions. They chip away at your patience, and it chips away at how much capacity that you have on any given day. And then we think about our bodies physically, like your body carries all that. It's the tension in your neck. It's how tight your jaw is. It's the way your tongue is slammed into the roof of your mouth. It's maybe the tightness in your chest. It's the way that your breath doesn't fully drop. And I felt that shift in real time. At the start, before I really got into the breathing, like I had a lot of pain in my neck. And it was literally gone, like dissolved by the end of it. And then I think about things energetically now. Like I think that you can feel the weight of things, like the sense that there's something there, even if you can't quite put words to it or explain it away. And it keeps you in a loop, because holding creates a kind of stability. Even if it doesn't feel good, it's still stable and it's known. Especially when it comes to relationships, especially when it's family and you have this like sense of obligation, like you don't just let it go. So you hold it. You hold what you want to say. You hold how you actually feel. You hold your needs inside. You don't want to disrupt or be too much. Or you're holding the whole dynamic in place of the family. Or it's the memories that you're holding on to, the good ones that keep you tied to something or someone that's no longer there, or the hard ones that never fully moved through you. And I think that there's also a point where we put this like pressure on ourselves to be better, to get it right, to not mess it up, like these exacting standards that create so much pressure. But they also don't create growth. They just keep you holding and gripping on to versions of yourself. And it slowly chips away at you. It chips away at your energy, your relationships, how you actually feel and show up in your actual own life. And that was another thing that I saw so clearly, like the way that I've held myself, the expectations, the pressure, the need to be a certain way, the fear of being perceived. And when that started to loosen, everything opened. My body softened. My mind got so much quieter. There was space where there wasn't before. Like it felt like something broke open, like a dam. And I didn't realize how much was behind it until it started to move. And what stayed with me after was this. that letting go gives you access to what you've been trying to force. The clarity, the relief, the version of you that feels more like you, it does not come from thinking your way there. Like, there's no possible way that I could have sat down at my computer, sat down with my journal and be like, okay, like, let's get through this resistance. Let's see what we're holding on to. It comes from releasing what's in the way. And the best way that I know how to do that is with breathwork. And I'll be very clear that it is not always comfortable. Even going into that session, I didn't want to. And the women and the people that show up to my breathwork classes, either in person or virtually in the deliberate practice, like a lot of them say like, fuck, like, I don't know why I'm here. But then like afterwards they're like, that's why I'm here. Because I feel so much better. And that's why there was resistance for me last night. Even still, even after breathing, as I've been breathing for the last 6 years, there's comfort in not going there. And you can add in whatever definition you want to in the there. But that's the loop. You hold because it feels safer, but the safety keeps you exactly where you are. Right? Like, you see how like this just keeps being a self-fulfilling prophecy? And the shift happens when you're willing to move through that resistance. When you don't avoid it, when you're not trying to manage it perfectly, when you actually move through it. And so if you are in a place in your life right now where you are feeling stuck or heavy, or like you can't make something click, I wouldn't ask what you need to add. I'd ask, what are you still holding on to? What isn't yours anymore? What version of you are you still gripping onto that you've already outgrown? And I'm willing to bet that you already know what that is. And the moment you start letting that go, things do open. And it isn't because you forced it. And it isn't because you necessarily manifested it, but because there's finally space for you to open up. And that's where everything changes. So let me know what you thought. Let me know what you're holding on to, what you're ready to let go of. I love to hear from everybody who listens. I hope that this episode has landed, and I do hope that even at the bare minimum, if you're able to kind of feel into your body right now and just feel where you're holding tension, and just setting a soft instruction, request, whatever you want to call it, to your body to let it go, to put it down. And in the meantime, breathe it in, be deliberate, and please be good to yourself.